Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Daily Challenge, and today is the last one before the weekend, so I hope you guys will enjoy a sunny and amazing weekend this weekend. So yeah, today I took a little bit of a longer take from the book Divergent, and we have a lot of long sentences. So if you were looking at this challenge today, you may have been intimidated by the length, especially the middle sentence is quite long. But once again, if we stick to our guns and go with what we always do, and that is to separate our sentences first, then find the subject predicate, you should be able to diagram this just fine. So let's separate everything according to punctuation. Here we go. And look at this, we have a semicolon, so we can talk about that one. There's a comma, and there's a period, and then we have another comma. So quite little bit, only a little bit of separation. The middle sentence is, as you can see, very, very long, and it's separated by a semicolon. So technically, we could say from that big, large sentence, there's just pretty much two sentences being put together into one. All right, let's go into our subject predicate, and we have the first one starting off quite nicely. We have an I, and we have a predicate walk. Okay, so there's a verb of motion here that is probably not going to take a direct object, right? It's just going to be an indirect direction to something. Then we have a comma, and then we have another comma over here. So notice that the verb, or what seems like a verb, is lined up right there. And from the onset, you'd be right to say, hey, yeah, that's definitely a verb, but notice there's nothing in front of it, okay? So technically, if there's nothing in front of it, no auxiliary verb like is, and there's no subject that's expressed, what we're looking at here is pretty much a participle, so a verb turned into a noun. And what this is a technically a noun that is modifying the subject here, okay? So if you're going to ask, well, who's chewing on my lower lip? It's I chewing on my lower lip, okay? There's no I am chewing. It's just pretty much a participle. So this entire sentence over here, what seems like a sentence, but it isn't, it's pretty much a predicate nominative describing I, okay? So it's a detail about the subject. All right. Next, he, which starts us off right there, subject, and then we have the adverb never, and answered would be our predicate. Next, the hallways are. Hey, that seems pretty simple here. So again, for a long sentence that started, because we separated it, we're able to see it as just one little thing. And there you go, hallways is our subject, and are. Now, notice that are is either an auxiliary verb or an or linking verb. In this case, cramp. And cramped, ed, is another participle or a passive participle. But because it's taken from a verb and linked by are, remember here we have a present active participle. Chewing right now versus having been cramped before. All of this is one thing, and we've just found a passive verb, okay? So the hallways are being cramped, or the halls are cramped. Next, we have an introduction of though. Now, this is known as an introduction to a concessive clause. I know, big words. Concessive clause simply means you're conceding something in exchange for something else. So the halls are cramped, but, or though, see, here's the concession, okay? And we're going to have this concession kind of help us maybe feel a little bit better about the fact that the halls are being cramped. So here it is, the light, subject, okay? And we think that coming here is our predicate, but remember, just like over here with the chewing, this is a present participle, and it's talking about the subject. So it's a predicate nominative. It's talking about the subject because the light coming, okay, the light in the process of coming through the windows is going to do something, okay? It's going to it creates. And there's our predicate. So this was probably a little bit difficult for you guys to get, and I'm pretty sure many of you have underlined this as a predicate nominative. But keep in mind, the number one rule is when you do not have an is, are, were, like an auxiliary verb to be, this cannot be a predicate. Okay, it's possibly, if it ends in ing and has nothing in front of it except for the subject, is going to be a participle that is going to be modifying the subject, just like chewing, coming. There's our participle right here. And then we have our preposition, but we'll deal with that later. And there is our predicate, okay? And then we go into the next one, they, okay? And then we have are. And once again, we're looking for a verb ending in ing or EED to kind of say, hey, this is an auxiliary verb. We do not see it. We only see one, which means this is a linking verb. Now, at our age, this is a prepositional phrase because at is preposition and age is the object of the preposition. Our is a possessive. All right. And then today, introduction of another clause. This is known as a temporal clause. Temporal from the Latin tempus, meaning time. So anytime you see today, when, after, before, those are all temporals. And they introduce a clause referring to time. So after today, we have crowd as our subject, and predicate has. So this is going to take a direct object, and then a last day mania. All right, so here is something that doesn't have either a predicate or anything that we could classify it as a subject. It's possibly the same type of construction as we've met in our first sentence, but we'll deal with it in a little detail as soon as we get through all the other object, the noun cases. So let's go back. I walk. There's our subject predicate. Now, this doesn't take a direct object, as you know, verb of motion, so we're expecting to see a preposition, and we do. And then object of the preposition is right here, which is the indirect object. Chewing is our predicate nominative, and we have the object of the preposition, the preposition on, and lit is going to be my object of the preposition. Lower is the adjective, and my is the possessive. Perfect. He, subject, never, adverb, answered. There's our, what did he not answer? And direct object, question, okay? And my question is a possessive. The hallways are cramped. We've dealt with that one. That was a passive. Though, here's a sort of a concessive clause, which means, like I said before, giving some kind of concession to the hallways being cramped. And the light coming, and we have a preposition through, and then we have the object of preposition windows. It creates. There's the predicate. What does it create? An illusion. There's our direct object, and who possesses the illusion? Space. Okay, so there's the possessive, space. They are, what are they? They are one. There's the predicate nominative. Okay, it talks about they. So they are collectively one, and then we have something called a partitive genitive, or it tells you of the only places. Okay, that's all a possessive. Where, and I think we remember. Okay, we remember that the introduction of where, which is a relative clause. There we go. Okay, so where, what, here's our subject, the factions, what do? They mix. Predicate. Now, at our age, is it possibly a detail, okay, regarding this, okay? So you guys would probably think, oh my goodness, this is where factions mix at our age. No, at our age, they are one of the only places at our age where the factions mix, okay? And then today, the crowd has, what did they have? Energy. You'd think so, but it's kind, okay? Remember, energy is governed by of, so that's a possessive. And a last day mania. So today the crowd has a new kind of energy, a last day mania. So this is a predicate nominative that's describing energy. Okay, so it's talking about the energy is a last day mania. Right? Awesome. So yeah, a little bit long, but I hope I was able to kind of make clear certain types of constructions for you. We started off with a very simple verb motion, then we went into a predicate nominative right here. Participle, we've dealt with participles today, present, active participles. We've talked about the possessive again, which was right there. And then we have, right here, the possessive. We talked about the concessive clause. In other words, if you're giving something negative, you're going to maybe do an although or but. That's a concessive clause. You're going to concede some detail or provide a concession for some detail that is not positive. And then we have a semicolon, okay? It's a separate sentence, and it is. That is being joined to right here. So when you get a comprehension question, it's like, so where are the only types of places or only kinds of places? If you understand the semicolon, you would know that that is talking about hallways. Okay, so the hallways are the only one place or one of those places where factions mix. Okay, and it is at our age that we can do that. Right. So again, comprehension, improving of comprehension once you have diagrammed your sentence. And then we have a temporal clause right there and a predicate nominative describing energy. Awesome. Let's deal with our verbs. So I walk is first person singular. It is present. It is simple. It is indicative. And it's active. Chewing is a participle, so we don't have to worry about that. He never answered. Okay, so he is third person. Singular for sure. And this is imperfect. Okay, because remember the perfect is has answered, and the pluperfect would be had answered. But this is an indefinite time in the past. It is simple. It is indicative. And it's active. And we have hallways are cramped. So we got third person, plural. Okay. It is imperfect because sometime in the past they became cramped. Okay. It's simple. It's indicative. It's passive. And then we have the light creates. So we have third person singular. It's present, it's simple, indicative, and active. And then we have they are, so that's third person. Plural. Present, active, simple, indicative, active. Today the crowd. So crowd may seem like it's a plural verb, but before we get to that, we got factions. So factions mix is pretty much the same. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this crowd because, I think from context, you will be able to say, oh, that is a plural, because a crowd is made up of many different people. But keep in mind that sometimes you'll see a noun that's plural in meaning, but singular, okay, in form. So this is known as a collective noun, like an army. That would be a collective noun being a singular. Now you can turn a collective noun into a plural. So for example, a crowd is gathered outside my house. Okay, but you could say the crowds are gathering all over the city. That could become a plural. So keep that in mind as you go through some of these nouns, that you may find a noun that seems like a plural noun, but it's actually a singular. So crowd has is another third person. Singular, present, simple, indicative, active, and there it is. And then we have pretty much that's it. Okay, so how many verbs? for 7 verbs in this sentence here. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all on Monday. Bye-bye.